What's going on, everyone? It is April 30th, 2021, and here I am once again for your Friday night SmackDown post show. How are you guys doing? Let me know down in the chat what you guys thought about tonight's show. Feeling good, feeling great today. My voice, you can hear it, man. You can hear it. The voice is coming back. Everything is starting to be a little bit normal again. The hype for the show, not there, unfortunately, but we will talk about that for sure. We will talk about a little bit of news going on here. We will talk about this mysterious episode of Retro SmackDown that is coming next week as well. And we're just going to hang out and chill. Talk about what is next for Daniel Bryan as well. Talk about not wanting to watch WWE anymore. And of course, don't forget, Monday night, AOW Underground begins. We will be here streaming instead of watching. And there will be no Monday Night Raw coverage. No. None. None. We are hanging out on Monday. We are playing WWE 2K20 Universe Mode here. Why watch an old man run his show into the ground when you can join me and help me run a show into the ground live on YouTube? Should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of fun. Anyways, let me shout out everyone that is here. Keep the energy high. I got some G Fuel, man. The first time trying this Fazeberry G Fuel. You know, I tried G Fuel in the past. It tasted like a bunch of powder, but this stuff is great. It's great. So hype is here. Let's go. Let's keep the energy up for the show. We got Jeremy in the building. How are you doing, my friend? Chris is here. Ashton as well. Esgertej. I apologize if I butcher your name. You have to tell me how to pronounce that. Bob is here. Raymond is here as well. Ashton, how are you doing, my friend? Ayana's here. How are you doing? Nick Fires is finally joining live. Thank you, man, for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. I hope that you were able to have a good time tonight, and I hope you have a good time on the show. Hope you have a good time hanging out. We have a lot of fun over here doing some new stuff here in the future as well. I want to change it up a bit. You know, I'm kind of tired of the same old. You know, I want to shake it up. I want to change it up a little bit. I want a different scenery. I'm tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again. So it's time to introduce some new things here going forward and see how it works. Because hell if I know, man. Let's see here. Chloe is here as well. David Blackman, how are you doing, my friend? Anthony is here as well. Leroy, how you doing, my friend? Chef is in the building. D&M Travels is here. How are you doing, my friend? As well, JVOJ and Hoodie all in the building as well. How are you guys doing? What did you think about the show? Brendan's here. WWE Emojis is here. How you guys doing? What's going on? What'd you guys think of Friday Night SmackDown? What's next for Daniel Bryan? Gonna be crazy. Ashton says, so you're no longer covering WWE. I'm not gonna cover Raw. At least this next week. Tuesday, NXT, I'll be here. Dynamite, of course, I will be here. SmackDown, I don't know. I think that I'll tune into SmackDown next week and cover it. Simply just because it's a special episode, but I think after that I might just be done for a while. I think that I need a break. I think it's kind of how I'm feeling at the moment. For me, it's the same thing over and over and over again. And as a person, okay, so for me, like, before I left my jobs and started my own business, I never, like, it was always like, time never mattered. Time was never an issue for anything. But now, since I started my own business, like, I don't necessarily care about money as much anymore. Like, the most valuable thing that I have in my life is time. I value my time more than anything else in this world. So for me to sit down and spend 3 hours watching Raw, it's 3 hours of my life that's just gone forever. When I sit here and I watch SmackDown, it's 2 hours of my life that I've lost forever. I will never get this time back. And it's just kind of frustrating. I'm at a point where it's like, I want to change things up. I want to continue to grow. And things have just been so stagnant for a while now that it's like, I want to shake things up. I want to do things different. I want to stand out from everyone else. Everyone that covers wrestling, they have a show, they have a podcast, they have whatever that they do. So I don't know. But like I said, there will not be coverage of Monday Night Raw on Monday. It's just not going to be there. We will be live on my gaming channel. It will be sort of... I might change this. Okay? It's going to be a Raw watch-along, okay? So we, as a community, are going to play WWE 2K20 Universe Mode. We will create our own company. We will create the Well, we're not going to create championships, but we will put in championships, whatever you guys want. We'll pick the roster that you guys want, and we're just going to hang out, have a good time. That's my plan for Monday. I do plan to have Monday Night Raw on the background, so like we can talk about it, and if you're not watching it or you want some updates, I can kind of tell you what's going on. That's totally fine. Tuesday, NXT coverage there as normal. Blood and Guts, Wednesday, AEW, coverage as normal. Because there's a retro episode of SmackDown and no one knows what the hell that means, coverage for next SmackDown as well. So I just want to make more content. I want to make more videos, and I just want to do a lot cooler things. And I feel like I literally just sit here and just melt in this chair, watching Raw for 3 hours. Like, there's so many better things I could be doing with my life than just sitting there rotting, watching the same shit over and over and over and over and over. So, we'll see. Jared, welcome back, my friend, says, came back to AEW cutting a shoot promo on WWE. What did they do now? Nothing. Like, that's the problem. They don't do anything. And we'll talk about that before we get into the show as well. And if you guys would rather play, I mean, we don't have to play WWE. We don't have to play 2K20. Fire promoters there as well. I got Retromania Wrestling. There's Wrestling Revolution 3D. I just want to change. I just want to change a pace just for a little bit. Like I said, I feel like I'm just burned out. Maybe I just need a month off of watching Raw or SmackDown, or just not even covering it. What I've kind of planned to do is to not cover it live, but watch it later in the night so that I could skip through everything and then make like a 5 to 10 minute review video. That was kind of the plan. So we'll see. I don't know. Like I said, I want to shake things up. I want to change things. I'm in a funk. I'm doing the same shit every single day. So just some new stuff, man. Some new exciting stuff. It's all community based. Like, let's get the community in. Let's do some cool shit. Let's hang out. Let's have some fun, man. The fun is gone. Like, I remember back in the day, wrestling, man, like, we didn't want to go out and do anything. We didn't want to go get dinner. Or we'd make sure that we did it before so that we could come home and we could sit here and watch it. It was entertaining. We used to, want to go to Raw and SmackDown every time they came to Portland. We were there. Now it's like, hey, I don't want to cover it today. I'm going to take the night off. I don't want to do a post show tonight. I'm going to take the night off. I'm going to, we're just going to go get dinner instead. It's not exciting. So I'm sick of it. I'm tired of this funk. I want to do something different. I want to change it up. I want us all to have fun. There's no reason why we should be sitting here wasting away our lives 3 hours every single Monday, doing jack shit, all hating what we're watching on TV. So I figure, try something different. Let's try to play some games. Let's try to hang out, enjoy our lives, spend 3 hours together, 4 or 5 hours together. I don't care however long it goes. If it's just 4 or 5 of us hanging out, I don't care. Just, we need something different. I need something different, at least. Ashton says, for me, WWE is like, hey, Raw's on tonight if you want something to do. See, for me, it's like, shit, Raw is on tonight. So I have to sit here at my desk and I have to watch this show. Not only that, I usually have to take screenshots, post them on Twitter, post them on Instagram, and I have to make sure I'm paying attention. I have to make sure that I'm doing all of these things. So, like, for me, I wish that I could just be like, hey, let's just have it on in the background, or, let's do this or let's do that. So that's why I need to change of pace. At the end of the day, I need to change of pace. And if AEW and NXT remain good, I'll keep them in the rotation. Maybe after a week off or 2 weeks off, I'll be like, you know what? Let's watch Raw. Let's watch SmackDown or something. I don't know. All I know, I need a break. Like, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to lose my mind if I have to continue to watch these shows. So we'll have some fun. Now that I've just been talking shit for 10 minutes, maybe we could talk about some other things as well. Chef says they have gone from Raw is war to Raw is suffer. Yeah, man. Like, I miss the things back in the day. Like, I miss when wrestling was exciting. I miss when things were entertaining. And I miss when things were fresh. And, tonight just kind of proved everything. That it's not fresh. It's literally the same thing. The show that you watched tonight, Friday Night SmackDown, the World Championship match, Universal Champion, Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan has happened 4 times in the past 6 weeks or 8 weeks. I can't remember the exact date was February 21st, I believe, when the first one happened. And we'll talk about the other ones because they're much, much, much higher. Ashton says, younger me was like, come on, Raw starts in 5 minutes. I'm going to be late. Yeah, like, oh, I mean, for me, when I was younger, I just had to watch it on West Coast time. So I always watched it at like 9 o'clock at night. It was pretty late when I was a wee lad. But yeah, it was like, man, it's Monday. I can't do anything with my friends. Like, bro, we got to watch Monday Night Raw. Like, that's what we have to do. Jared says, such a shame. A product putting their viewers under stress is not good at all. It's just, yeah, I mean, it's just frustrating. It went from being a hobby, something that I just loved to do. But I was like, hey man, like, I just want to do this, you know, like, this is so much fun. I love interacting with everyone. And now it's like, this show sucks. I feel obligated to be here. And not only that, like, everyone's just like talking shit. So it's like, it's just like a whole trifecta of just garbage that it's like, man, it sucks. That's why I like doing these YouTube shows so much better, just because we're just hanging out, we're having a good time, and, you know, people can actually have a discussion about their differences rather than just being an asshole, you know? So it's so much better. Elvis says, what's your favorite WWE match of 2021 so far? Mine is Cesaro versus Father Rollins at Mania at 37. I don't know, man. I'm so bad. I apologize for, like, when everyone asks me a question like that, because I don't know, man. My memory, like, despite, I mean, if it wasn't for Cage Match, I probably could never tell you these statistics on these wrestling shows, but my memory is shot for stuff like that. I consume so much wrestling content that and talk about it so much that I just can't even process half this stuff these days. JVOJ says, do you think Jason Jordan will do good as a producer? I do. I think so. I think so, man. I do. I hope that he's able to come back someday. I do. WWE Emoji says, we want Ronda, we want Becky, we want Brock now. Well, Ronda is pregnant, so she's not going to be coming back anytime soon. So Becky, probably, for sure. Brock, I would assume Brock will come back around SummerSlam. At least that's what I'm hoping. I mean, I guess we'll get a better picture after WrestleMania Backlash if Bobby Lashley is able to retain his championship. If he does, I have my fingers crossed. I have my fingers crossed, man. Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, SummerSlam, baby. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, man, I would love that. Anthony says, I'm worried about your memory. Nothing to be worried about. I remember important things. Things that aren't important, I don't remember. I just kick him to the side. Kick him to the side. DNM says, if Daniel Bryan is no longer part of SmackDown, he can join Monday Night Raw. I don't mind. Would be cool to have him feud with Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship or Sheamus for the US title. I do want to talk about that, but not yet. Not yet. There's a couple things I do want to talk about before. Let me pull these up here so that I can have them. They're on my Instagrams. So, rumor has it, according to Dave Meltzer, that WWE is going to be, or they're looking to be, in some sort of talent partnership with MLW. Now, from what I read, this doesn't seem like a huge talent partnership. If anything, it seems like it helps. It more so helps WWE. From what I understand, from what I read, is that Dave Meltzer said that newer NXT talent that is signed to the brand but is not really doing much will have a chance to go over to MLW and be a part of their shows, which is a great idea. It's a great idea, but they did the same exact thing to Evolve. Let's not forget. The same exact thing happened to Evolve. And it said new and unused NXT talent. I've seen a lot of people who are like, oh, Roman Reigns is going to go to MLW. No. No. Roman Reigns is not going to wrestle at MLW. This would be for the newer people. And I don't even know how new they're talking about. Like, are they talking about a Zoe Stark type new? Or are they talking about a performance center type new person for NXT? So I'm interested in seeing where this goes. And I also believe that MLW signed a deal with Vice. So MLW's, is it Fusion? I'm not sure if they're going to, I think they're going to air their show on Vice going forward. I think that they have a show on YouTube as well. Like, I apologize, I'm not too familiar with MLW. So I don't know. I know that you can watch a show on YouTube. I think it's called Fusion. I don't know what day it's on. I think it's on Mondays, actually. But I think that they just signed a deal with Vice, which is big for them as well. They'll be on TV. And this partnership, it just seems so one way. Jared says Simone Johnson type of new. Yeah, that's what I could definitely see that. Ashton says MLW could be for talent like Cora Jade and Gigi Dolan. Yeah, for sure. Yep. That's probably more so what it is looking like. Bob says I see MLW getting bought like WXW and Evolve. Me too, man. I do. Jan says AOW, when Kenny Omega was laying in the floor with all the championships he won, it became a meme of me finally completing the 3 hours of Raw. Yes. It's so rewarding, right? So rewarding. DNM says MLW isn't really popular. I just hope this isn't copying AEW in Impact or a washed up version of the 2001 rivalry of WCW versus WWE. I've seen a lot of that as well, that it's like, well, now that AEW has opened doors with anyone and everyone, we might as well open our doors as well. So it's possible. It's possible. I don't believe anything that Triple H says anymore. So when he says that we're open for business or whatever the hell it is, we're open to working with other people, I don't necessarily believe that. WWE's version of working with people is working with them for a very short period of time and then just acquiring them. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I can't speak on that. I don't know what WWE acquiring Evolve did for the people of Evolve. I'm not sure if they're in better places now. I know Austin Theory is, I guess, but other than that, I'm not quite sure. So I'm not even sure if WWE acquiring MLW would be a bad thing or a good thing. I literally have no clue, but I wouldn't mind seeing WWE maybe acquire MLW and just keep it MLW. That's what I mean, this is kind of way off topic in a sense, but I'll go back to what I think about the Monday Night Wars. Back in the day, and I mean, there's still people like this today. I encounter them daily. There are people that think that WWE is the tip top of the world. There's nothing better. So even they won't watch AEW. They won't give it a chance. They don't care. You know how I know? Because I did the same exact thing when I was a kid. I watched WWF, and there is no way in hell you would catch me watching this cheap ass imitation WCW. Okay? Relax. I was a child. Okay? I was like 7 years old. Okay? But aside from that, so like I get it. So in the sense of WWE acquiring MLW and keeping them at the same, imagine what a world would have looked like had WWE acquired WCW, not made a huge deal about it. Everyone would have known. I mean, it was also a different era back then of information being readily available to everyone. The internet was still pretty new. Like, you had to have a phone line. You had to do the whole dial-up spiel at that time to get on the internet and look all this stuff. We didn't have iPhones in our pockets where we could just find out what's going on. So if WWE would have acquired WCW and kept them completely separate, how crazy would that have been? It's like being the guy that owns Coke and Pepsi. right? You own the competitors. If you don't like Pepsi, I don't care. Because guess what? You're going to go and buy a Coke. You don't like Coke? I don't care. Because you're just going to go buy a Pepsi. And I own them both. So how cool would it have been for WWF and WCW to be owned both by Vince McMahon, but kept completely separate? I mean, I guess they could not even compete with each other if they didn't want to, but you would essentially own both brands. So it would be very cool for WWE to do something like that. And if they're acquiring MLW, so they buy MLW, everyone in the world's going to know, of course, but let it remain MLW. You can take talent from there. You can send talent from there. I mean, hell, what way to boost your own company by having former world champion Daniel Bryan show up on MLW to have some sort of dream match with one of the guys that is the next in the business? You know, I'm pretty sure MJF was from MLW recently. They have some great people there. So it's stuff like that I think that would be really cool and set them apart from anyone. Is having entities that you own and everyone knows it's fine, but having them be their own thing. It would be so cool. Jared says left Twix and right Twix. Yes. Perfectly. I'll never understand that left Twix and right Twix stuff. Ashley says like the guy who made 13 plus accounts just to talk shit on your post. Yeah, dude, there's a lot of those guys. There's a lot of those. A lot of those guys. Knowledge says they should have Edge return in August for SummerSlam to finally get that one-on-one against Roman he was promised from winning the Rumble but never got. Then at the next Mania should have Rock versus Roman. Well, you're not promised a singles match. You're just promised a World Championship match. And technically it's supposed to be the main event, but so yeah, it never says that it's promised to be a singles match or anything like that. Leroy says, who do you think will be the next 5 AEW World Champions? Hangman Adam Page. And then after that, I would say Pac or Miro. And then I don't know. After that, I don't know. Nick Fire says The Rock is too busy to wrestle, though. Man, I wish that wasn't the case. I really want to see this version of Roman Reigns wrestle The Rock. Man, it'll be so good. JVOJ says we're still waiting on NXT Evolve. Yes. Yeah. So supposedly something for that was filmed like last year. Late last year in like October, November, something like that, but nothing has happened. It's supposed to be like newer talent or something like that, wrestling with NXT people watching or something along those lines. It's an interesting idea. Like, I would love to see something way more interesting as well. Something more unique, like I hate to talk about Lucha Underground, because they're assholes, but their thing is their presentation and the idea behind their show is so cool to me. Like, I absolutely love the Aztec theme, to it. You know, with the building that they're in, like the presentation, like all of that. Like, I really, really like all of that, how story driven all of that is. I would love to see someone else do something similar to that, especially if you have people who are in this era who are more green, and maybe need pre-recorded matches or something like that. You could probably stitch together a really nice package of like a fake crowd, like even like a performance center crowd. You're, plant your own crowd in there. And record the shows. I think that'd be really cool. Clayton says Daniel Bryan should go to NXT. I agree 100%. 100%. WWE Emoji says Edge versus Roman Reigns is Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch all over again. Both became triple threats. They did. Anthony says, I want to watch AEW, but I would have to get used to the wrestlers and different things they do over there. Like when I started watching NXT, I did not know who anybody was or what they do. So you'll notice a huge difference if you watch a WWE or, just the WWE program. And I read something very interesting the other day, and I believe it was from a person called Voices of Wrestling on Twitter. I think this was tweets that they posted. Someone had I had mentioned something about watching a WWE product, and they said that WWE was so stuck in the past. And they compared a WWE show today to an AEW show today. And they said that WWE is so focused on showing replays and highlights and video packages and video highlights from like previous segments from the show and previous from like pay-per-views and stuff like that, because they come from an era where they were battling it out against WCW, against Monday Nitro. So the thought was, back in the day, we didn't have DVR. We didn't have anything fancy to rewind or record. Like, if you didn't watch the show live, you pretty much didn't get to watch it unless you recorded it, but on like a VHS tape. But even if you recorded it on a VHS tape, the TV had to be on that station. So you would have to have 2 different TV setups to be able to watch it. So the thought that they said is that WWE is still living in that time where they feel like people are switching back from Nitro. So they're constantly showing you a highlight from the match. They're constantly showing you highlights from the show as if you haven't been watching the whole time. And I was like, damn. That is like a really genius take. Like, I've never thought of that before. Because it's really true. Back in the day, if you missed something, they had to throw back to it. And now necessarily they don't need to, because even if you miss it, you have DVR that you can rewind, or they probably posted it on Twitter in a GIF, or someone else did. So I was like, man, it blew my mind. It blew my mind. Dean M says this version of Roman Reigns should feud with John Cena at SummerSlam. I know Roman would win, but imagine the build-up promos and segments. I'm all for it. I would love to see something new for Roman Reigns, and I hope that they do going forward. Now that Daniel Bryan is gone, we have Cesaro in the mix, and I don't think Cesaro is going to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns. It would be incredible if that did happen, but I don't see it happening. Nick Fire says, or they upload the highlights to YouTube. Yes, that is true as well. So like, there's always a place for you to be able to get your other content. So there's no need to be throwing it back and forth throughout the entire show. Like, 2 weeks ago, I think it was, when I did the UFO thing, they literally showed more footage of Cesaro doing the UFO to Seth Rollins than they did their women's match. That's just how crazy it was. Like, we get it. Okay, we get it. Knowledge says, I only say that because they always make it seem like it's supposed to be one-on-one match, because the main events this year and in 2014 at WrestleMania 30, they were going to be singles matches, but Daniel got in. Fair enough. Fair enough. I get your point. Ian says, if Daniel Bryan goes to NXT, I would love him to have a match with Pete Dunne. Man, it would kill it. Yes, 100%. 100%. Punk says, don't worry, we get our Bobby versus Brock, our dream match at SummerSlam. I hope so. I hope so, because now is the perfect time to do it. Well, WrestleMania was the perfect time to do it, but now is the second best time to do it. So do it, please, for the love of God. Give us WWE Champion Bobby Lashley at the height of his WWE career against Brock Lesnar, who will always probably be at the height of his career. Jared says, what are your thoughts on Mick Foley's tweet? The tweet about the thing that Mickie James said about how she wanted an entire women's show. Is that what you're talking about? If it is, I'll just continue. I wouldn't mind an all women's WWE show. I wouldn't watch it, probably. I mean, I would probably watch the first one, but I probably wouldn't. It's not something that I would cover every week, but I don't think it's the worst idea in the world, especially if it was on like YouTube or the network or something like that. I mean, my answer is why not? That's my answer. Why not? If you could do it for cheap and you could do it before Raw, before SmackDown, or whatever, like if you could do it in NXT or something, just kind of like how they do it on 205 Live, if you could do some sort of thing like that, why not? Why not? Spend the extra little bit of money and have your camera crew stand out there for an extra hour. I I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Have someone throw it together and throw it on YouTube or throw it on the network or whatever it is. Sure, why not? Why not? And God, I mean, if you do that, you can just take them off of the shows. Or just have them featured the way that they still are. I guess that's fine as well. And just have more so of a non-featured women's thing. But, okay, so the thing with that, by the way, is that Mickie James said a couple things on video in an interview or in interviews. I don't know where they're from. I did see the videos. I did watch them. Mickie James is the one that said she pitched these ideas. I believe she didn't name names, but I believe the person that she said, or she's alluding to that she pitched them to, is Bruce Pritchard. And she said that she's always trying to find something for the women to do. She pitched the all women's TV show, and he said, look, I'm going to level with you. No one gives a shit about women's wrestling. They don't watch the shows. They don't pay for anything. And Evolution was the worst WWE watched pay-per-view of all time. That was the response to that. No one cares about women's wrestling. People who watch women's wrestling don't buy anything. And Evolution was the worst WWE pay-per-view in terms of viewership ever. And I mean, I can understand that maybe there's not a lot of people that want to watch Evolution. And that's fine. But there's certainly a market for it. There's absolutely a market for it. There's people who only cover women's wrestling. And if people don't care about women's wrestling, perhaps they don't care about women's wrestling because they don't care about your women's wrestling. Because the women in NXT kill it. Obviously, there's a market for women's wrestling because Stardom exists. It's a huge complaint all the time that I see for AEW. More women. Like, there's a market there for it for sure. And you don't have to put every single dollar you have into it, but you could, of course, you can make it work. You're the WWE, of course. You have so many women backstage doing nothing. Why not give them an opportunity? You got to pay your cameraman for an extra hour. Who cares? They could do some sort of AEW Dark type thing where they just film 4 hours of content, split it into, and just use it for a month. You know? Like, I don't know. That's just me. I don't run this company. They prioritize money over everything else. But I certainly think that there's a market for it. And I certainly think that if someone were to pull off an all-women's TV show, whether it's on Twitch, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on some sort of network, some sort of streaming service, it doesn't need to be on network TV, but I think there's a market there. And I think that a lot of people would care, for sure. And I watched Evolution. I didn't care for Evolution. I didn't want to watch it going into it. I watched it with my fiance because she wanted to watch it. And it was good. The presentation was excellent. The lighting for the arena was excellent. The graphics were excellent. The matches were excellent. Like, everything about that show was good. And so, sure, maybe it didn't do that many buys. Maybe that many people didn't watch it, but it's because of how you portray your women. You know? So, absolutely, I think there's a market. Someone should do it. Someone should do it. I really think someone should be able to do it, and they can get the praise. Whoever's first to do it, you know, they're going to get a lot of publicity for it. And a lot of people are going to love that company, and a lot of people are going to tune in. And I think it's just a matter of time. Just see how it goes. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a WrestleMania production. Throw out what you're willing to lose and make it happen. Obi James says, just because it was the worst rated pay-per-view doesn't mean it was a bad show. Correct. Yeah, correct. And I think the verbiage that she used was like that it didn't get watched by as many. But I mean, of course. Of course it's not. Like, were you expecting a SummerSlam type of, you know, viewership for Evolution? You know, and the whole thing about it, you could tell from the beginning that they don't give a shit. They acted like Evolution was the biggest thing in the world and that they were the best people in the world because they're like, our women are so great and they deserve this very special moment. And it's like, no, you're full of shit. The only reason why this is happening is because the backlash for people who are mad that the women can't perform in Saudi Arabia. And because you did this blood money deal with them for 10 years to do all this stuff. So that's why that is the only reason why Evolution happened. And I'm happy that it happened because I thought it was good. Like I said, I thought it was good. I thought everything about the show was good. The presentation to the matches, it was all good. They just need to condition people to care. Because there's an audience there. There is certainly an audience there. Jared says, of course Pritchard had that response. He's been Vince's puppet for a while. I know. I hear nothing but terrible things about that dude. It's crazy. Ashton says, we care about women's wrestling, not the 1 minute divas wrestling we see now. Yeah, I mean, just make it make sense. Make it feel important. Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, that lights out match, I'll never forget it. One of the best main events ever of Dynamite. It was amazing. Make things matter. Make things matter and people will care. At the end of the day, that's all it is. Leroy says, Johnny Gargano just posted a photo of Daniel Bryan on Instagram. Amazing, because I would love to see that. Knowledge says, I wasn't a big fan of Evolution. Only really the Charlotte and Becky match and Shayna and Kyrie match, because I love Shayna Baszler. I think they can make it work. And I think, like, just to completely dismiss someone, especially someone like Mickie James, just to be like, look, people don't care about women's wrestling is a wild thing to say. Like, I think it's pretty wild. I mean, I get it. They could just say, look, from a business standpoint, we just can't make it work. Like, it's going to cost us $30,000 to produce a show, and, you know, it's only going to bring us $5,000. So we're going to lose money on it. Like, I totally get it from a thing like that. But you shouldn't come out and just be like, hey, no one gives a shit about women's wrestling. And like, bro, that is crazy. Like, calm down. There is a market for like everything. Just calm down. Trevin says, if booked properly, I honestly see women's wrestling shows working. They're just as impressive as the men, if not better. Yeah, some of them are good. Like I said, Stardom exists for a reason. Leroy says, I never actually watched Evolution. Is it worth a watch? If you like women's wrestling, yeah. Sure, I mean, you have to keep in mind that it's WWE, but yeah. Anthony says, who is your favorite women's wrestler of all time? Oh, man. I really liked Victoria back in the day. Like, Victoria was amazing. If not Victoria, probably just like your generic Lita, Trish answer, something like that. Obi James says, do you forget what happened 2 years ago? Women main evented WrestleMania. Yeah, not only did they main event it, they were like forced to have to put them in the main event, which is crazy. Like, if they wouldn't have done that, oh man, someone would have lit a fire under their ass like crazy. So, okay, we gotta move on. It's been 44 minutes. Okay, so one of the other things to talk about here is that AEW Dynamite is going to be in store for some scheduling changes here due to the NFL the NBA playoffs. Again, according to Dave Meltzer, the May 26th episode of AEW Dynamite will have to move to Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern. This show will be the go-home episode of Dynamite leading into Double or Nothing that Sunday. That's a late episode. Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern is after SmackDown. So on May 26th, we could have 4 hours of wrestling to watch that night. And it's a go-home episode going into Double or Nothing, which could be big because I've heard a couple of things that could happen. So next up, the June 2nd episode of Dynamite will also probably need to be moved. At this time, they're not sure whether it will air on Friday, June 4th or Saturday, June 5th. It all kind of depends on the NBA playoff game that TNT gets. So, a couple little schedule changes here for AEW Dynamite. Also, Tony Khan, if you didn't know, since the the NHL will be on TNT, they signed a deal with Turner. Tony Khan says that they are firm in staying on Wednesday night, and they have 2 or 3 years left on their contract being on Wednesdays. He said they're not going anywhere, and that if TNT wants to discuss Dynamite moving to a different night, he's open to it as long as it makes sense for the company and everything works out in the long run. So that's a big no to me. I don't see Dynamite moving to any other night. I don't see Dynamite moving to Monday going head to head with Raw, especially since Tony Khan says that they don't ever want to go head to head with the NFL. They own the Jaguars, of course, as well. And Friday just doesn't make sense either. Friday night is WWE's strongest show in terms of Raw or SmackDown, and it just doesn't make sense to get out of competition just to get right back into it. So, DNM says, do you think Sasha Banks would feud with Sonya Deville after WrestleMania 37? I think Sasha would be Sonya's perfect feud back to competition. I don't know, but I can tell you that I would love to see Sonya Deville return. Sonya Deville has been one of my favorites in recent in the women's division. I think that they really messed up with Sonya Deville because she's kind of like WWE's own version of Ronda Rousey. Like, she has that MMA background. She's had like 5 or 10 matches or something like that. She has that presentation. She has that appearance. She has that badass look. She has that fighter feel to her. She could be their own version of Ronda Rousey. And of course, she is she's gay as well. So you have that whole front, that whole side that she can cover as well with WWE PR. She can be great for that community and bring great things to them. I've seen so many people. When was it? I think, she wore like a rainbow flag in her pocket or something like that. And I think it's because she retweeted or liked all of this stuff on Twitter, but there were so many people that were just like, thank you so much. Like, I can't believe that you're finally representing, that I'm finally being represented on TV, and that you're actually like, you're doing this for us. You're doing a huge thing for us, and it's just changing my life. So she's great on that aspect as well. Like, she has it all covered. So why she's just Adam and Pierce's sidekick, I have no idea. No clue whatsoever. And her and Mandy Rose were fantastic together as well. Ryan says, hey, AOW, how you doing? Hope you're feeling better. Definitely better, man. Definitely better. My voice, it gets a little bit more congested as I go, but better. Feeling much, much, much better these days. Jared says it was her white attire at Elimination Chamber. There you go. Perfect. Yeah. And it just like, it's just so crazy to see things like that where people are like, this changed my life, or like, you know, this impacted me in this way. And it's like, you just see a person wearing a rainbow flag, or you just see a person doing this, and to you it's meaningless, but to someone else it's their entire life, you know? So I love that about Sonya Deville. She has tons of those aspects that they could use. She's a huge asset to the company. So I hope that she's comfortable returning to the ring after what had happened with her, and I hope that they use her because I think she could be a superstar, if I'm being honest. Anthony says, I mean, Liv Morgan did the same when she was in love with Lana, but why Sonya can't? Well, I wouldn't turn it into a storyline, but she's just the face of that community. And you should, as a billion-dollar company, you should want to be represented in as many of those types of communities as you possibly can. Whatever it is, whether it be races, gender, sexuality, religion, like all of that stuff. Like you should want to represent as much of it as you can to connect with other people and help draw those people in and make them feel like they're just like everyone else. You know, I think that's important. And they're usually pretty good about stuff like that. They did that stuff with Finn Balor as well. So I think she would be perfect for that. Ashley says, plus her suit game is on point. Yes, it's very good. Bosley says, Lita is one of the GOATs too. Yes, Lita is fantastic. Leon says, I feel like Sonya Deville can be like a heel authority figure of Charlotte Flair and work for her to make decisions to help Charlotte always get a title shot? It's possible. I saw a preview for Monday Night Raw that said that, it's like, is she, and Charlotte Flair returns, is she looking to recapture the Raw Women's Championship? Something like that. It's like, yeah, okay. I see where this is going. DNM says, Deville's psycho gimmick was great. Her gimmick feuding with anyone would be incredible. I enjoyed her feud with Mandy Rose. Yeah, it was good. It was really good. So hopefully, I'll be excited if she's ready to come back to the ring and stop playing the authority figure. That'd be great. All right, so since it's probably the most important topic, no one else cares about the rest of the show. Let's talk about Daniel Bryan. What is next for Daniel Bryan? Does Daniel Bryan stay away for a couple weeks? He sells the loss. Very, very, very decisive finish. Lights out for Daniel Bryan tonight. Lights completely turned off at the Bryan residence. So, and a concerto to follow. So this man's will have some injuries to sell. So Daniel Bryan stays away for a couple weeks. Randomly shows up at NXT. I'm down. I am so down for that. There's so many good matches that you could have with Daniel Bryan in NXT. And, oh man, I feel like that would bring some excitement back to NXT. NXT has felt very meh to me lately. It doesn't feel important. And I think Daniel Bryan going to NXT would be very, very important. We all know that Daniel Bryan has done tons of interviews talking about how he wants to have a very limited wrestling schedule. He's kind of on the cusp of retiring and just being a full-time father as well. So like knowing that he's at the end kind of makes everything else way more important as well as to where he's going to go and what he's going to do. Jared says if Daniel leaves WWE, he would probably be in the same good terms Jericho had once he left. It's possible. Yeah. I mean, okay, so I saw an interview with him the other day on Twitter, and he says he's trying to be able to wrestle in other companies. Daniel Bryan is actively trying to work for WWE, but be able to wrestle in other companies as well, which I think would be an incredible thing to do. I think it'd be incredible. He's expressed wanting to wrestle these other people. Oh man, I think it was Jungle Boy was one of them, and I want to say Sammy Guevara was the other one. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but he said he wanted to wrestle them in AEW. Like, could you imagine? And I think we talked about this on Wednesday or some other day. We did talk about this briefly, but how cool would it be? I think this would be a huge asset for WWE, by the way, to send their wrestlers that everyone knows is ungodly talented, who maybe doesn't get used right in the WWE banner, send him over to somewhere else. If you could have, you're going to have Daniel Bryan on AEW Dynamite, right? But when Daniel Bryan comes out, WWE SmackDown's Daniel Bryan. Here he is. Give him the good old SmackDown nameplate template file, have them throw that up on the screen. So now you have these AEW diehards that are like, I'm not gonna watch WWE anymore. It's not for me. But they're gonna see Daniel Bryan come out here, put on a banger with someone like Sammy Guevara, and of course Daniel Bryan gets the win over Sammy Guevara. Sammy looks great. Daniel Bryan looks great. This looks great for WWE. They're having people come out and wrestle. And even in his interview that he did, he said, look, people like me who have had to fight tooth and nail to come up in this business, he said, look, I've been to Japan. I've fought there. He said that he had to fight somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but he said it was just pure comedy wrestling. And he wrestled in a match where it was like, how many times can I get hit in the nuts? He's like, I've been everywhere. I've done it all. So like, that's what makes me who I am today and makes me what I'm able to do today. So he's like, having some people like Otis, he said, yeah, the guy that just does the worm, You know, throw him in New Japan. The guy can wrestle, and he's great. So he's like, he's like actively trying. Daniel Bryan is actively trying to make stuff like this happen, which I love. I love Daniel Bryan so much. Like, the guy, he doesn't give a shit about anything except professional wrestling, and I love that so much, that he's just like, yeah, look, so what? I work for WWE. Like, I don't care. Like, I still want to do this. I want to wrestle this guy. I want to go here and do this. Like, he wants to do the things that he wants to do, and he's unapologetic for it, and I love it. Ashton says Otis is good when given the chance, and he's just like, yeah, like, you know, maybe these people need a little bit of change of pace and to do other things. And it's like, of course, you don't send your Universal Champion Roman Reigns to Dynamite or to Ring of Honor or to Impact, right? You send someone else who's not doing anything. Shinsuke Nakamura, sitting around doing nothing. Why not have Shinsuke Nakamura show up on Dynamite? SmackDown, WWE SmackDown's Shinsuke Nakamura. Send him to Dynamite. Send him to Impact. Have him represent your company and wrestle. Buddy Murphy, Chad Gable, Cesaro, Sheamus, another really good one, even though he's a champion right now. Like, I think that'd be really cool. And I think it would be, like, game-changing for everyone. I think it would change the face of wrestling forever. Ryan says, send Murphy to Dynamite. Buddy Murphy, the guy is so goddamn talented. So talented. Like, yes, please, let me see something like that. Please, give us the Elite versus the New Day. And, you know, you could even, those people can come to WWE. AEW's Kenny Omega. Probably not Kenny, but, you know, AEW's Luchasaurus. AEW's Jungle Boy. And let them come do what they do best. I would love to live in a world where something like that happens. And it doesn't have to happen often. But people who aren't really doing anything should certainly go and work for other companies. I think that would be so cool. Jared says, imagine if the McMahon family gave him more weight in the industry. Yeah. Obi James says, cruiserweights never get over. DNM says, I like how whenever Daniel Bryan talks on the mic, he can be like Timmy Turner's dad and be like, hey, I can be a part of it. They'll love me. Basili says, I'm late, everyone. What did I miss? Not much. We haven't talked about the show yet, really. We're just kind of talking about what's next for Daniel Bryan. Trevor says, I think Bryan will be a free agent like Cena and appear on both Raw and NXT. I wouldn't be mind. I wouldn't care about Daniel Bryan doing just a farewell tour. If he has people he wants to fight on Raw, cool. I don't care about him being assigned to a brand. If he wants to go wrestle on NXT, so be it too. So be it. Ashton says Shelton Benjamin to Dynamite. Yeah, one of my favorites, man. I love Shelton Benjamin. The guy is so talented. Ryan says Ali, Cedric, Drew Gulak, etc. Yeah, Drew Gulak, Ricochet on that list. Like, there's a lot of people on that list that are sitting around not really doing anything. So it'd be really cool if you could see something like that. Jared says, who do you think would win, Kenny or Roman? Ugh, I think it depends on where it was booked. That'd be a hard one to book. But I will say this. I think that Roman Reigns is the bigger star. Easily. I think Roman Reigns is the better character. By far. Easily. Kenny Omega is the better wrestler by far. Easily. And I don't really feel like those are even debatable, really. Jared says the big turn away from a brand crossover is Vince. Jon Moxley has even expressed some type of collab. Yeah, it'd be great. Dude, imagine if you could reunite the Shield with Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Jon Moxley. The guy's not even named Dean Ambrose. Jon Moxley. Have them team up. Have them team up and fight Kenny and the Good Brothers. Kenny and the Young Bucks. There you go. Anthony says, how do you feel about sending the Fiend to New Japan? That would be one of the most interesting things in the world. That's for sure. Basley says, guys, there actually is an Aleister Black update. He was there on SmackDown. Yes, and it was the best part of the show. So happy to see Aleister Black back. Guy is so talented. There was no need for him to sit on the sidelines for 8 months or whatever. Okay, so we're over an hour already. So let's talk about this show briefly here. There's really not even that much to talk about, considering we already went through the Roman Reigns stuff and I went on a big rant at the beginning. Okay, so tonight's episode of Friday Night SmackDown opened up with Bianca Belair, which I thought was great. Nice little change of pace, but I was a little bit confused as to what followed because WWE already announced this 6-person tag match of the Street Profits and Bianca Belair taking on Bayley and the Dirty Dawgs. They had already announced that on all their socials, I believe. So it was kind of weird how they made this happen. Like, they had Bianca Belair open the show talking about how she's the best, and then they had Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode come out and interrupt her. It just felt so weird. Like, I don't know. I just don't understand. And then I believe next was the Street Profits. So they kind of like alternated, right? So they had the face start it, then they had the heels come out, but men heels. Then they had the male face tag team, and then they had the heel woman come out last. It was weird. Obi James says 4 matches happened. All of them are rematches. Yes, and I do want to talk about that. That's one of the things that I do want to talk about. Because I feel like when I put these things out into the world, you can argue with me all day on whether you like something or not, right? And that's totally fine because watching a TV show is subjective. And if you like watching the same matches 12 times in a row, then there's nothing wrong with that. I'm glad that you enjoy it. Like, if that's what someone likes to watch, then I have no problem with that. I personally, I don't. And I feel like me putting these statistics up here just kind of proves a point where it's like, okay, now I see why you're saying the certain types of things that you're saying. Like, I'm starting to get a picture painted as to why people act the way they do when they see these sorts of things. So that's why I did that tonight. Ashley says, why was Bayley just drunkenly laughing? I don't know. They did that last week too, didn't they? I saw a video of her just laughing at her. Marcel says, did you see the Tessa news? I don't know if it's true. I did see the Tessa news, and I'm not familiar with the company or the people that reported it. I'm not familiar with them whatsoever, so I held off from posting it. Essentially what this person said, and I don't have it saved, so I don't know who it was, but they said that Tessa Blanchard and her husband Draga, I believe is his name, are pretty much signed to AEW. They just got to put ink to paper. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I don't know how to feel about it. I know a lot of people think that they did the whole Diamond Mate thing or something like that on NXT. But Ryan Satin posted a bunch of stuff on Twitter, and it seems like it's a group of like 6 or 7 dudes. It doesn't seem like it's Tessa Blanchard. So that kind of helps, I guess, in that aspect. The only thing that I can say is that I think that she would be a huge asset to their women's division. I'm not familiar with her husband, so I can't speak on that. And people change. People can be assholes. People can be toxic, and people can change. I don't know her personally. I don't know her situation. I don't know where her head is. I don't know if she's seeked help. I don't know anything about it. So all I know is that if they're going to be involved with her, they should do their due diligence, and they should make sure that it's a good situation for all the parties involved, because that didn't necessarily work out very well for Ivelisse. She got kicked to the curb from AEW. And, for the same reasons that she gets kicked to the curb from everywhere else. And she's pretending like she didn't. So I don't know. I can't speak on where she's at and what she'll do, but I do think she'll be a big asset if they're able to secure her. And if they do, I just hope that they do their due diligence. That's all I can ask for at this point. And that if people are if everyone is comfortable being with her too, because I think it's a bigger deal than just being like Tony Khan having a meeting with her and being like, yeah, you sound great, And more importantly than anything, I don't actually know or understand what the working relationship is between AEW and Impact, but Tessa Blanchard royally screwed Impact really, really, really badly. So they should probably make sure that it's cool on that front as well, because if it's not, that could really sour business, and now is not a good time. Jared says, at least this copy and paste makes your job easier. It makes it frustrating when I just sit and waste my time, though. That was like my whole point about my spiel earlier. It's just like time, man. Like, if you spend all your money, if you go from being rich to being broke, you'll always have more time to get that back. Like, money is not the end all be all. I know tons of people who've been broke and have made a lot of money. I know people who have made a lot of money and are now broke. So time is my most valuable asset, and I value my time a lot. Like, probably more than I should, but man, time. It's all about time. Jeremy says, is Tessa a toxic person IRL? Yeah. She's had instances of someone can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe she spit in someone's face and called them the N-word, a women's wrestler, at an event. And she ended up denying it, but there was like a lot of people that were like, yeah, I was there. That happened. So yeah, that's not good at all. I'm sure there's other accounts of things as well, but one of the other things that I know is that she pretty much hijacked the Impact World Championship. So if you don't know, Tessa Blanchard, a female, won the Impact World Championship. And then shortly afterwards, she was like holding it hostage. She wouldn't drop the title. And that is why they ended up bringing back the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. That's why Moose brought that back, is because they didn't have a world championship. She wouldn't send it back to him. She wouldn't do business. So yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, if it's true, I hope that Tony would check with Impact, because they don't have a very great relationship. But like I said, people change, people grow. I think that everyone deserves second chances, if they've changed. So we'll see, I guess. We'll see. Obi James says, the sad thing about Tessa as Impact Champion is that it was a historic moment. A women wrestler winning a world title in a company. Yeah, it sucks that it had to end like that, right? And that's kind of another throwback to the whole, like, people don't give a shit about women's wrestling, but meanwhile on Impact, they had a woman as their world champion. So, not a very tasteful thing to say. I don't think at all. Let's see here. Jared says, yeah, she's had many racial slur problems outside the ring. Yeah, and that's not good. I could never do business with something like that. Like, I don't care what the business is. Like, we're just done, you know? Yeah, I've heard a lot of bad. So anyways, let's get back to the show here, since we are already past my hour here. Sorry, I have a cough. Okay. Throat is clear. So, starting off tonight's episode of Friday Night SmackDown was the 12th time we have seen the Street Profits take on the Dirty Dawgs in some sort of way since October 16th. 12 times. Should I count the weeks? Should I count the weeks? Let me go back. That is 1, 1, 2. So this would be 6. This would be 10. This would be 14. 18. 22. 3, 4, 5. So like 24 weeks. Or give or take. 24, 25 weeks. So pretty much every other week, the Street Profits have faced the Dirty Dawgs. At least. Like, really? Why? Why is this your entire division? Why? And they just passed the titles to them. And they were like, oh, it's take back season. No, it is not a take back season. You do not earn yourself a shot at these championships. It's time. They even said it on TV. And that's the one of the most frustrating things is when they're like, hey, it's take back season. And he's like, yeah, take yo ass back to the end of the line season, you know? And it's like, okay, I guess the line is just the Mysterios and Otis and Gable, but still, get in the back. Like, damn, bro. So, I don't know. 12th time. 12th time. It's ridiculous. And, not to mention, the tag team champions lost. Tag team champions lost. You hate to see it. Jared says, seems like tag team wrestling has been dead for a while in WWE. Which is crazy. Like, you would think that WWE, obviously they're paying attention to AEW. That's no question. So you would think that they would look at AEW and they'd be like, damn, this audience really likes tag team wrestling. We have some people that can put on matches of this caliber on our roster that we're not using. So like, damn, maybe we could capture some of this audience that really likes tag team wrestling. Nope. 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 No, you guys are a tag team. We're going to break you up. And then we're going to take you and we're going to pair you with someone else as another tag team. And then you are going to get released. It's like, damn, bro, what? Like, come on, man. I don't get it. You would think that they would want to focus on it at least a little bit, but they certainly not. They're just running the same thing back and forth. And Otis and Gable and the Mysterios are like no better. I think they're at like the same amount of rematches. Like it's double digits for sure. Obi James says, I just want to say that I hate the Dirty Dog names. It's super generic and a boring name for a tag team. Yeah, they should be called everyone's favorite uncles. For sure. Should have been Rudolph. Yeah, I saw Angelo Dawkins actually called them Rudolph on TV a couple times, I think. DNM says, I like the Street Profits, but it's time for the Mysterios to win the tag team gold. Yeah, they should have did it at WrestleMania, in my opinion. I don't know why they didn't do that. That was or I guess not WrestleMania, but WrestleMania SmackDown. Should have pulled the trigger there. I think that'd have been great. Oh shit. But maybe they'll do it at WrestleMania Backlash. Ugh. God. Anthony says, example, Big E versus Apollo have been happening since January. Yes, sir, it has. And we'll talk about that in just a second for sure. Raphael says there are 4 teams in the entire show. It's not a tag team division. It's a joke. Yep. It's crazy. It's so crazy, dude. I don't get it. I don't get it whatsoever. It's insane. Let's see here. Next up, we had a tag team match with Natalya and Tamina taking on Big and Shayna Baszler. You already know what happened. Poor Shayna Baszler, man. Poor Shayna Baszler. She's taking the L in anything. If Shayna Baszler can ever get pinned, she's gonna get pinned. The poor soul. She never wins, man. She never wins. It's somehow, some way, Big and Shayna Baszler are still the women's tag team champions. It kills me. It absolutely kills me inside to see them on my TV twice a week. Like, there's so many better options. The Riot Squad, hello, an actual the Riot Squad, hello, Ding Dong, hello, one of the actual only tag teams that you have in your division. Maybe you should put the tag team titles on them. They've never had them, and they're great. Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan are fantastic. Anthony says soundboard is fixed. Yes, sir, it is. Yes, sir, it is. Leroy says they're not even a tag team. They're just two dudes that were put together because WWE just doesn't give a damn about either of them. Yeah. I see your point. Raphael says we've seen all of the teams face each other more than 3 times. We got a fatal 4-way as well. Where the hell do we go from here? Just keep on running back these matches until they decide to do a draft. Pretty much, yep. Or until they decide to give someone else the tag team championships, and then they just like consider that a complete wipe, and then they just start over. For sure. Jared says, poor me being pumped about a super feud between Nia and Shayna, and here we are. Yeah, that's going to be a crazy one that happens. They're probably going to drag that out for a while too. Big and Shayna Baszler feud after they lose their tag team championships. Yikes, man. Oh, James says, does anyone know what the point is of Reginald? I have no clue, man. Maybe a thing to drive a wedge between Big and Shayna Baszler. Maybe would be my guess. You know, I saw Shayna Baszler was in the ring getting her ass kicked, and Reginald and Big were just sitting there on the outside of the ring, like against the commentary table. Raphael says the women's tag titles are consistently my least favorite part of the show. The feuds are absolutely horrendous, and it's the same exact matches every week. Yeah. It's true. They're the same on SmackDown, and then they're the exact same on Monday Night Raw. It's insane. It's the same thing over and over. That's what I'm trying to say when I put these statistics out there, where it's like, it's not just me telling you that you saw this for the past 5 weeks. It's me like proving to you like, hey, look, you have seen this match 6 times in the last week. In this instance, this is at least the 4th time that we've had some sort of variation between Natalya and Tamina versus Big and Shayna Baszler in April alone. There's 4 weeks. So you do the math on that one, right? It's not that great. Sean Ross Sapp posted that they have had 6 matches in April, but I only counted 4 when I looked on Cage Match. Maybe there was something that I overlooked or some sort of configuration that I didn't think of, but I counted 4. So that is 1 match every single week. Every week. The same thing. And combined, they've probably had 8 minutes, 6 minutes. Maybe if 6 minutes even seems generous. Because I know 1 week it was 3 minutes between the two. So, yeah, let's say 6 minutes total of wrestling for 4 weeks for the same match. Like, come on, man. Ashton says, I agree with your comment. Big and Tamina couldn't wrestle themselves out of a box. And that's why it's frustrating that they're featured all the time, and there's so many other people that can actually do things that aren't. Anthony says, I feel like Big and Shayna as a tag team could have been a good thing, but they're nothing but geeks. Yeah, it didn't turn out very well, in my opinion, either. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like where it's going. I don't like where it's headed. I don't like where it's going, and I don't like where it's been, I guess is what I should say. I'm just over it. It's definitely the worst part of WWE TV right now, in my opinion. It passed the 24/7 championship quite a while ago. Oh my God. DNM says it was really nice to have the fans cheering for Tamina at WrestleMania 37. That was cool. It was certainly odd. I wasn't expecting to hear that. Oh, that was pretty crazy. Leroy says WWE is dead. It's been dead since November of 2018. I wouldn't argue with that. Their TV shows have been on the decline for years, and it doesn't seem like, there's there's been a ton of times where I'm like, okay, look, I understand. They're going to run these until the Royal Rumble. And then, like, how are they? They're not going to squander WrestleMania, right? They'll make it work. They'll figure things out. And then we'll be back on a road to having decent shows. Like, I will always understand that early on in the pandemic, things would be very hard to maneuver around and figure out. They certainly did not go around it the best way. But, I understand. And things have never gotten better. Like, there's not even a sign. And, even at Royal Rumble, it was like, okay, I'll give them WrestleMania. WrestleMania, complete reset. There's going to be fans. It makes a lot of sense. Sure. Okay. I can understand. And then we got to WrestleMania. And then they said, oh, hey, you should check out our next pay-per-view. It's called WrestleMania Backlash. And in that very instance, I was like, I know where we're headed. And it's the same thing that we've been seeing forever. Because why else would they devalue the WrestleMania name and put it on top of Backlash? I was like, okay, so this wasn't the reset that we needed either. So where are we in this? We're just literally in limbo forever? And we're just supposed to accept it because there's no crowds? Is that where we're going with this? Is that the next thing, that WWE is not going to be good until they have crowds? I mean, that's a pretty shitty thing to have to wait for. And I think that your fans in attendance at home that have been giving you your viewership for the past 3 years, despite god awful television, and more importantly, in the previous year, supporting you through the pandemic, like, we deserve to watch a good show too. I never understand that when people are like, yeah, well, you have to wait for fans are back. Like, but there's 1.7 million of us that watch this show every single week. We're just chopped liver. Like, we shouldn't be able to watch a good show either. It's only the 14,000 people that are at the venue that can have a good show. Like, they're the only ones that are important. We do their commercials. We buy the merch. Like, people at home are just as important as people in the venue. So I just, like, that's why I'm like, I'm not going to cover Raw anymore. I can't watch it. I can't do it. There's no hope. There's just no hope. Ian says maybe we can have a fatal 4-way match for the IC Championship at WrestleMania Backlash. Maybe, but, like, who cares anymore, right? Like, I have zero interest in Apollo Crews. I have zero interest in Big E. Completely. Maybe they'll throw Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn into that mix, but who cares? Really. Raphael says, with how many weeks we get the same matches and the same crap, they could cut a match like this one from any week that it happened and insert it into another show, and I don't think anyone would notice. Yeah, I don't think so. It's all the same. Raw is the same too, man. Raw is the same. DNM says, I don't know how they'll pull off Retro SmackDown next week. Hopefully they can have SmackDown legends from the past like Teddy Long. Holla, 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 playa. Yeah, they didn't say anything about Retro SmackDown other than it's Retro SmackDown, and they did advertise Seth Rollins taking on Cesaro next week as well. So what I'm picturing is the same show that we watched last week with an old retro logo and maybe a couple legends popping up for videos. Just videos. Maybe a couple in person as well. Because I wasn't going to watch next week. I wasn't going to cover it. I was going to take a break. But since it's Retro SmackDown, I think I'll probably kind of have to. Jared says Retro SmackDown equals ratings. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Ashton says if there's no giant fist next week, I am done. Yeah, I mean, what is retro, or sorry, throwback, I think is the word that they used. Throwback SmackDown. What does that mean? What does that mean? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. What am I tuning in for? What am I watching that's different? Raphael says they got their record profits and their TV and Peacock deals and stuff. A lot of us are still tuning into the shows regardless of how crap they are. They have no reason or decency to care. And it's why I get frustrated. Like, not only that, but like the way that they treat people as well frustrates me. Like, I don't watch Lucha Underground for that very reason. For the reason of how they treated their employees or talent, contractors, whatever the hell it is that you want to call them or they're called. I don't watch that show. And I didn't watch that show based off of that alone. And like, it feels really hypocritical of me to continue to watch WWE and support them when they treat people like that. And it's just frustrating. Where am I? WWE Emoji says if SmackDown is going retro, they'll probably add those black bars and create a blurry screen. Oh God, I hope not. I hope not. Raphael says, yeah, from now until things get better or something substantial happens, I'm done watching Raw and SmackDown, only pay-per-views. Yep, that's I think that's what I'm gonna do. Yep. As well. Live coverage for pay-per-views, post-shows for pay-per-views, and hopefully video reviews for Raw and SmackDown. We'll kind of see. Ashley says WWE only cares about money. That is the truth, man. Jared says the writers watched an old SmackDown 02 show and pitched it to Vince. Like, yeah, get this. Like, we've been doing the same thing for the past 4 weeks, but like, check this out, bro. We went on Peacock and we watched, what'd you say, 02? We watched SmackDown from 2002 and we should just redo this entire show. And we'll just put the SmackDown old logo on it and people will watch. 3 million people will tune in. Like, Lever says, gotta go, AW. Have to get up early in the morning for a haircut. Good night. Well, thank you, man, for tuning in. I appreciate it. Hopefully, your haircut goes well. Very important. Chef says, how does WWE care about money and then put out this shit? Okay. This is what I'm so confused about this. WWE has the worst product of all time, yet they make so much money off of it. Like, what am I doing wrong in my life? Like, could I just be selling like packaged turds to people if I present them just very well? Like, I don't understand. How could you have such a bad product make such good money? I don't get it. Like, the core product of WWE is its weekly TV shows and the wrestlers. There's hardly any wrestlers on the show. It's always the same ones. And the wrestling is bad for the most part. How? What? I need to hire some ex-WWE people for my business or like for a new business where we will just legit sell turds to people, but we'll just present them very nice. Like, I would love to sell a box of shit to NBC Universal for $500 million. That'd be great. Oh man, I would love that. That'd be so good. NBC Universal, hit me up, bro. I have, well, I mean, I don't have it. I got dog shit outside, bro. Like, I could just leave it for like 2 weeks and then package it up and send it to you. Real nice. I'll send you a nice little video package of it getting picked up. Maybe even of some of it being dropped if the price is right. You know? It'd be nice. It'd be great. Jared says you should revisit some of the old Raw vs. SmackDown games if able. I do have one of them on an emulator that I was going to play. I was going to play career mode. Ashley says I'm waiting for Treehouse to purchase WWE. Is that like the juice? The juice? DNM says if they do a retro SmackDown, hopefully I can hear Rise Up from Drowning Pool. That intro was so good. Man, the old WWE music was so good. I'll never forget. I can't remember what WWE game it was. It was a WrestleMania game, and it was for GameCube. I think it was WrestleMania. But the video package, I don't know why I remember this, but it was a video for the GameCube game that I think was WrestleMania like 17 or 18 or something like that. But it had Drowning Pools, Tear Away as the theme song for it, and it is so good. Like I've never forgot that. It's so good. I miss like the old days of music. Like music is so important for everything. That's why I literally spent 2 nights searching because copyright stuff. So I spent 2 nights looking at the YouTube library of music that you can pick for free. I spent 2 nights finding those 2 songs that I used, and then I spent like another couple hours because I edited them. They don't actually sound the way that they do on these. So the first one is like way different. So it's just I cropped it and edited it and looped it. The other one has like the ending is different and stuff like that, but like music is so important and they're just lacking in that department. Ashton says, I like when they had The Beautiful People by Marilyn Manson as the intro. It's crazy. So crazy. Have I ever heard of Polo G? I have not. I am not. Eon says, breaking news. AEW is the new head writer of WWE, and from now on, WWE is going to be a good company because whenever Raw ratings go low, AEW comes with the flow. I don't think I would last in that company for more than a meeting before I got booted out. It'd be like that meme, you know, the meme of like a press conference and someone's like, hey, we need ideas to raise the ratings for our company. And then like the first guy is like, hey, we should have the Street Profits take on the Dirty Dogs. And then the second person's like, hey, we should have Big E and Apollo Crews fight for the Intercontinental Championship. And then I'm sitting at the end and I'm like, hey, we should probably not have rematches. And then it's like me being thrown out of the window of Titan Towers. Yeah, that would. Or I would be like, hey, all of that fucking sucks. We should not do any of that. We should do something better. Not rematches that we've seen 12 times in the past 18 weeks. And then, there I am. Just, splat on the ground, dead. Thrown out of Titan Towers. WWE Emoji says, what year did you become a WWE fan? When I was very, 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 very young. I was a wee lad. My dad used to watch it. And then I got back into it around 2016-ish. I probably stopped watching, somewhere around 2008-ish or so? 2008-ish? And then I picked it back up in 2016-ish. Give or take. Jared says WWE is motivating millions to create their own wrestling shows with the product they're producing. There are people that could do it. I mean, yeah, I don't think anyone thought that another wrestling promotion would ever exist in AEW formed. It's crazy. And they're like number 2, which is unheard of. Raphael says, we should worry about putting on a good product and making the people that put time and money into our product feel like they're worth it and appreciated. Gets thrown out the window. Yeah, that'd be the... That's a very good example of what would happen. Eon says King Corbin would be the saddest person if you were the head writer. Actually, he wouldn't, because I think that Baron Corbin is very talented. And I think that his moves are great. I think that he has a lot of potential. I think that he just gets the shit end of the stick. The King gimmick is not good. The feuds that he gets is not good, but the talent is there. Talent is there for sure. I'll have to check out, I guess, this Polo G guy, I guess. Let's see. Okay, so let's carry on here. Aleister Black, the video again this week, very good. I hope that they don't linger on this for too long. I liked the whole like him sitting in the dark room waiting for someone to knock on the door. I thought that was good too. I just think that they spent too much time on it. Too many weeks went by where nothing happened. We're in the same kind of boat with Alexa Bliss and The Fiend, where we get these videos, video packages, and it's a whole lot of talking and a whole lot of nothing being done. Like nothing ever happens. There's no story. There's nothing involved. It's just buying time. So I hope that they don't do this again for Aleister. I hope that there's just a couple more vignettes, and then bam, we see Aleister Black. You can even do both of them. You could do a video of Aleister telling his story. He could come out and beat someone's ass. And I hope that he beats someone's ass and it's not like local talent 08 in the ring. Like I want it to be a match with someone. It can be shorter. It can be like 3, 4, 5 minutes. That's fine. No 30-second squash matches. I don't want to see those again. Not with Aleister. Stay away from that, please. And then just slowly build him up, and then give us just one badass feud. A lot of people want Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. A lot of people want Aleister Black and Shinsuke Nakamura. Like, there you go. You have the people that aren't doing anything. Let's go. Let's go. DNM says, AOW, gotta go, man. I gotta go start driving at 6:30 to pick up my sister from college. Good night, brother. Thank you, man, for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you being here. Have a good rest of your night, my friend, and drive safe. Drive safe. Anthony says, I feel like Aleister was standing outside the Thunderdome door until WWE let him in. Yeah, he's like, please. Please, I'm knocking. Let me in, please. Ashton says, I want Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy again. Their matches are, wait for it,
such good shit.
Yeah. Marcel says, by the way, Moxley is on New Japan Strong next week. Really? That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm glad that the things, the wheels are turning. The wheels are turning and things are happening now with all of this stuff. I love it. Philip, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Good to see you. Bosley says Aleister versus Jeff Hardy would be cool. Not sure if that happened. I'm not sure if it has either, but I'm totally down to see Aleister Black and Jeff Hardy. Totally down. Next up was Apollo Crews defending his Intercontinental Championship once again against Big E. And let me see here. This was the 7th time that we have seen this sort of match. Big E and Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship 7 times since January. That's crazy, man. That's a lot of title defenses for just one person. And that's a lot of like matches between these guys. Because you have to remember, those are only the title matches. Only the title matches. I did not count any of the other ones. Only the title matches. 7 of them. Good Lord, man. Like, and it ended, to no one's surprise, it ended in a disqualification. And I will say that I do like this Commander Aziz guy. I like that. Are they calling it the Nigerian spike? Is that what they're calling it? The thumb punch to the neck or whatever that Umagi used to do. I like that. I think it fits just because he's like a huge dude. But like, you could do this stuff so many other ways. Like, come on, man. And like adding Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to the mix, if that's what the plan is going forward, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change it. It's still, now you took 2 matches that we've seen and you just put them into one mega match that it doesn't change the fact that we've seen all of this other stuff happen so many other times. Like, that's not a fix for anything. Marcel says, did you see the quote by the New Japan boss? It's great. He talks about how if New Japan guys want to face this AEW Impact Ring of Honor guy, we make those dream matches possible that the fans want. That's awesome. That is awesome. I love to see that. That's what it should be about. It should be about the people. Jared says, I thought for sure Jeff was joining Matt in AEW until he signed the contract extension. Me too, dude. Me too. I would have bet money on that. I have a feeling they promised him things. I have a feeling that he was holding out for no more words. And I have a feeling that he was supposed to have a world championship reign that was promised. That's just a hunch, because why else would you be there when Jeff Hardy could be doing amazing things in AEW with his brother? Doesn't make sense. Ashton says the Nigerian Nail. Ooh, that's a good name. I like that. So I like that, at least, about this, I guess. Leon says there's a YouTuber who does figures matches, and he made a storyline where Aleister Black is trapped with the Fiend and the Fiend is controlling him. It's such a good story. Why can't WWE do this? I know, right? It's crazy. Like, I've legit seen people who get 10 views on a WWE 2K Universe mode put more time and effort into that than a billion-dollar company does to their TV shows. And that's crazy. Like, that's speaking volumes. That someone would put more time into an internet universe mode. And I'm not talking about someone who gets 10 million views. I'm talking about someone that gets like 10 views on a video. I've seen good universe modes from people. And it's just, it's disappointing. It's really, I mean, it's great for them, you know, like their creativity and stuff like that. But it's disappointing on a billion-dollar company side where it's like, man, this guy probably working a full-time job and has his other life, and he's committed to creating like a really cool story on your game. And like, not only that, but he's like playing it out and commentating over it and like editing videos and stuff. And it's like, man, it's so cool. And like, you guys can't do this. You guys have a team of people just dedicated to just like doing the creative part, just writing the stories, right? Like, you don't have to wrestle them. You don't have to edit them. You don't have to be in like physical condition. You don't even have to be at the events. Like, you just got to write it on a piece of paper. And you can't do it. But these guys can on YouTube. It's crazy to me. Raphael says, speaking of which, where has he been lately? Their father passed away. And I think that's why he hasn't been involved in things. I think. Well, I know that their father passed away, but I'm not sure if that's the only reason why he hasn't been involved. Raphael says, hell, I put more time and effort into my own universe mode and creating storylines and shows, and the only person that sees that shit is me. Yeah, like, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. WWE Emoji says, let's be honest, the fans of WWE are more creative than the writers and producers. Pretty much, man. It's crazy. It's crazy to see what some people do. And then anyways, we had our main event match that was like 30 minutes long. Good main event. Good main event. This is what a main event match should look like. Well, probably a pay-per-view main event since it was so long, but main event, great length. Aside from the commercials and the one like whole entire thing where they're like, Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns up next. They came back from a commercial, did nothing but like highlight the match and have Daniel Bryan come out, and then they went to commercial again. I thought that was kind of annoying because it's like, man, can you just get to the damn match already? Like, I've seen highlight videos of this crap all for 2 hours already, or an hour and a half at that point. Like, come on, like just get to the match already. Damn. So good match though. Very good match. I'm very happy that Jey Uso had no part of the match. I really like that. I was really expecting it to be a shit show, too many chefs in the kitchen type deal, but it was not. It was a singles match between Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, with the most decisive finish you could possibly have. Roman Reigns turns off the lights at the Daniel Bryan residence, and that was it. That was it. I love that. Like, give us decisive finishes. This is great. Roman Reigns says Daniel Bryan packing off of SmackDown, and he stands at the top. Stands at the top alone. Of course, after the match, Roman Reigns was going to attack Daniel Bryan some more. Cesaro came out to help Daniel Bryan, and then Jey Uso came out, and then they beat up Cesaro, and then they concertoed Daniel Bryan and yada 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 yada. But it was good. Good way to close out the show. Makes Cesaro look great. I'm so happy to see Cesaro in the position that he is. I love Cesaro. I think the world has slept on Cesaro, and I think that WWE has slept on Cesaro as well. So like, seeing him in this position now that there's a lot of us that have seen potential in Cesaro, and I couldn't be happier to see him here. I couldn't. The guy, in my book, if I'm Vince, Cesaro is a multi-time world champion in my company, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Chloe says, I love that Paul Heyman is like the only manager that doesn't get involved in big matches. That's true. Yeah, he doesn't really get involved. Jared says, hopefully Daniel Bryan can structure himself in NXT and work alongside Hunter and Sean. He's a dark horse for their future. Yeah, I would love to see Daniel Bryan head to NXT in any capacity. I want to see Daniel Bryan and Johnny Gargano. I'd love to see Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole chop it up again. I'd love to see Daniel Bryan and Pete Dunne. I'm sure there's other ones on there that are great as well. Warrior says 2 stars in Reigns and Bryan. Stakes in title versus career. They gave it time. All of the best. We had a clean finish. That's all we ask for on these shows. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Anthony says, wait, off topic. Murphy got a big win against Seth, so why didn't he get a push? No clue. I was really excited for the whole Messiah disciple thing because I was like, okay, like everything else, these guys are going to team up for a little bit. And of course, they're going to have dissension and they're going to fall apart. And then we're going to have a feud with Seth Rollins and, not Daniel Bryan, Buddy Murphy. And then hopefully they'll use that. Well, because then we heard Becky's pregnant. So I'm like, yes, this is perfect. Okay, so we know they're going to break up. We know they're going to feud. This means that Murphy can go over and Rollins because he's going to leave because he's having a child. I'm like, yes, this is all falling into place perfectly. And it didn't. Somehow it didn't. Somehow it managed to not fall into place perfectly. And, you know, they were separated. Seth Rollins comes back. And then like 2 weeks later, Murphy's like, yo, bro, I can be your disciple again. Like, whoa, what? Marcel says AOW almost canceled Botchamania, but it seems like a bit of a mistake they are having. Yeah, so that is something that I wanted to talk about that I forgot. This appeared to have been a mistake. So what had happened if you're so I'm going to talk on this and then I'm going to go because I only wanted to be here for an hour and it's almost 2 hours. So, but anyways, okay. So if you're not familiar, Botchamania got strikes on YouTube from AEW, or I think it was from All Elite Wrestling on a couple of videos. One was a game 2-point show reaction, and one was like a watch along, and then one was an episode of Botchamania, I believe. Matthew posted it on Twitter saying like, yo, what is going on here? And Ref Aubrey ended up replying saying that it was an automated thing that had happened because I think they even struck their own AEW music channel. I think they struck themselves as well. And that's a huge problem with the world of YouTube and copyright claims and stuff like that. It's that you can just make those strikes. Like, you don't have to prove anything. And it's when you get a strike, it's bad. It is bad. Like, so you have to remember there's 2 different things. There's a content ID, like a content ID claim, and then a strike. A content ID claim means that that company that you use footage for will just monetize your video. So even if you're not monetized, there will be ads put on that video. Usually not that big of a deal. Depending on who you are. Like, of course, if you're a PewDiePie or something like that, and you use a 10-second clip of music, you shouldn't be giving $50,000 to that company. So you can edit those out and fix them now, and yada, yada, yada. But if you get a strike is a whole different ballgame. A strike is removing the video, and a strike puts, you guessed it, a strike on your account. The first one you get takes away your live streaming abilities for 90 days. I believe. And if you get 3 strikes within a certain period of time, your channel is kaput. Bye-bye. All done. There is no appealing it. There is no nothing. You are just gone. So, if you upload, and this is why you have to be careful, and this is why I tell everyone, don't post videos from anyone, ever. Don't do it on social media. Don't do it on YouTube. Don't do it on Twitch. Don't use any sort of music. Don't use any sort of video from anything. They will get you at some point. Someone will find you and someone will get you. You can do whatever it is that you can to try to avoid certain things. Like Matthew for Botchamania, sometimes if they're uploaded to YouTube, they'll be like 1/4 of the screen. They'll be small because most of it is typically a automatic claim from a bot, and it usually can't detect it. Sometimes people will put effects on music, or they'll slow them down, they'll lower the pitch, or they'll higher the pitch a little bit or something like that so that it can avoid automatic detection. But even if you get away with it, all it takes is for, let's say it's me. I'm WWE, I'm AEW. No, we're talking about AEW. So I'm AEW. I don't know, someone that Tony Khan has hired or whatever. I'm reviewing YouTube videos, and I see that you have been making videos for 2 years. And, well, I say making videos with quotation marks because you've just been posting clips of my TV show that I pay billions of dollars to run or to make, right? Or millions of dollars, whatever I said. So I say, oh, I see you AEW clips. This isn't going to fly. So if you have 10 videos, I go strike, 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 strike. That's more than 3 in the allotted time, and you are out of here. You're gone. That's it. You might be able to try to appeal them, but it's not going to work. And YouTube doesn't give a shit about you or anything. They only care about advertisers. So best of luck. That is why I don't post any sort of video content related from AEW, WWE, like literally anyone. I don't care who it is. Even if you posted, even if you made a video and sent it to me, I would post it. Because anyone can strike things. And it's like when you make money and you have your livelihood on here, it's not worth it. Jared says, I really think everyone on the platform should get 5 strikes, especially when YouTube have problems on their end. I think that they really need to fix it as a whole. And I don't think that, and I also think that other companies, more so since we're talking about wrestling companies really need to lighten up at the end of the day. If someone like, okay, if I'm literally just posting like clips of your show, right, and nothing else, then I think those are totally, you should get rid of those. Like, that's fine. I'm just literally stealing your content. And to an extent, too, I would say that, like, even if I were to do a review video and I would just talk over your matches, I don't even think I don't think that's transformative enough. I don't think that falls under fair use. I think those should be claimed as well because you're literally just posting their videos online. But if you're doing more like highlight focused things, making like videos where like if you're making an intro to a wrestling show, you know, where it's like 2 seconds and you're adding music and your filters and transitions and you're like making a unique thing, I think those are fine. But man, it's a rough game out there to play. And I wouldn't risk it. That's why I don't do watch alongs or anything on here either, because I'm scared. I'm scared because Fightful, they were gonna do a SummerSlam. I think it was SummerSlam or Survivor Series watch along, and they scheduled it, and it didn't even happen yet. And WWE flagged it, and they got a strike, so they lost their live streaming capabilities for 90 days, despite having they flagged content that didn't even exist. There was nothing there. Nothing. It was scheduled. So, that's why I don't do that stuff. WWE Emoji says, I would never post AEW content on a channel. Heck, I don't even make YouTube videos. Yeah. I mean, I wish that they would lighten up a little more on social media and stuff like that. I think that at the end of the day, we are promoting your stuff. And you should be thankful for that. Especially, for me, I mean, things have probably changed quite a lot in these days, but I would say that my audience is still predominantly a WWE based fan base. So for me, I feel like it only helps your company when I'm posting AEW content. And if that means that I'm posting a 15-second clip of some crazy ass Canadian destroyer off of a ladder through a table, yeah, I'm taking away from your social media views. Yeah, I might take away from your YouTube view, maybe if you're posting that on YouTube. But I'm putting that in front of faces from people who would probably never see it. And a lot of people who probably wouldn't watch your product anyways. And I'm on the smaller end of things. Imagine larger accounts that have hundreds of thousands of followers or 1 million followers that are doing something similar and highlighting aspects of the show. I really think that it would benefit. Because, at the end of the day, playing a game, if you play a game on YouTube or you stream a game on YouTube, you are essentially breaking the law. You are streaming copywritten content. At any time, the company that made that game could say, hey, I'm going to strike you because I don't want you to play my game. But the game industry is a little bit smarter than the wrestling industry, at least in terms of this, and they understand that people playing their games helps people go buy them. There's tons of games that I've watched people stream that I'm like, I'm not quite sure on this one. And I've been like, okay, damn, I'm sold. I'm going to go buy this game. That's happened to me plenty of time. Sometimes I get caught up. I didn't want to buy Animal Crossing, and I watched someone play it, and I'm like, man, I'm getting caught up in the hype of Animal Crossing releasing, and this just kind of looks like a chill, fun little relaxed thing to do. So I went out and spent $60 on Animal Crossing, like within 10 minutes. So like there's also a drawback because I almost so close. I was a sliver away from going out and spending like $100 on the deluxe edition of Cyberpunk. And I was like, man, the hype is real for this game. It looks incredible from what I've seen. It looks like a lot of fun. It looks like a crazy futuristic Grand Theft Auto. And then I watched people play it and I was like, yeah, maybe not. So, I mean, it does work in both ways because that prevented me from buying it in that case. But at the end of the day, I think that people of accounts of all sizes, as long as they're not ripping off your content, like to a point where it's like they're just legit ripping off your content, like, oh, you don't need to watch AEW Dynamite, just come to Authors of Wrestling on Instagram and I'll post like the full matches or like, everything. But if it's just someone posting a 10-second clip, GIF of something, like, you should be appreciative of that because that's going to help bring you business down the line. But I don't know. I think that the laws of copyright and fair use, like, they're so confusing and most people don't even know what they're talking about half the time. There's still a lot of people that think that as long as the clip is less than 10 seconds or 20 seconds, that they can just use whatever they want, or as long as they put some music over the top of it, it's fair use. And I don't know. It's just I think the law needs to catch up, and I think that everything needs to kind of get better at this whole thing, because there's a clear difference between ripping off a match and showing highlights of it, or ripping off a match and showing a cool portion, or like a fire promo. Like the Pinnacle parlay, the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle parlay from the other night was incredible, and it was probably like 2 or 3 minutes long. You could not get away with posting that. Probably I would never try to do such a thing, but that's something that someone like me could share, and someone who's not an AEW fan could see it and be like, holy shit, this was incredible. Like, and that's Chris Jericho. I remember that guy. I remember that guy. That's Ty Dillinger. I remember him. Damn, that's the Revival. Oh, that's Jake Hager. Like, wait, what is this? Like, you go down that whole thing. But that's just me. I don't know. What do I know? Anthony says, even for movies, I see YouTubers talk about a movie that I don't think is good. Yeah, I mean, it works for movies too. I used to be really big into DC comic books and the movies and the TV shows and all of that stuff. And there was a couple guys that I used to watch just to see what their opinions were on things, their reactions for things. And there was a lot of times even they had issues showing small clips on it. But, there were other companies who didn't care. Ashley says, you were a failure where you used to work too. Sammy Guevara. So good, man. Ian says, you can do watch along and not show the screen so you wouldn't get a strike. But in the case of Fightful, they didn't have anything. They just scheduled it. It just said, we're going to have a Survivor Series or SummerSlam stream, a watch along, and they're not going to show it on there, but they got striked before they even had a chance to put anything up. It was just going to be their cameras of them watching it. Just a classic watch along. So it really needs to catch up. And the fact that like you or I can just go report something as being copyright and they'll strike someone and then deal with it later, it's stupid. There's someone that there's actually someone that I used to watch do Minecraft videos, and he bought an intro song from someone, but that someone took a sample from someone else. And so one night he had like 12, like every single one of his YouTube videos was claimed because it had the intro music to every single one. So the poor guy had nothing else like better to do other than like go in and manually remove them from every single one of them. So it's crazy, dude. It is so like ass backwards. Anthony says, how about you do it on Twitch? I do have a Twitch that's an affiliate, but I want to stay on like one platform, you know? And all my gaming stuff I want to do on YouTube. So I think I'll probably we're going to do sort of a watch along on Monday for Raw, but it's not going to be called a watch along. It's just going to be AEW Underground or something like that, or WWE 2K20 Universe Mode, something like that. And I'll have it up on one of my screens, but it'll be muted, of course. And if there's something to talk about, we'll talk about it. Bosley says DC or Marvel movies. I like DC movies. I like Man of Steel. I like Batman vs Superman, and I like the real Justice League, the Snyder Cut. My favorites. I liked Aquaman, and I liked Wonder Woman, and I liked Shazam as well. But those are my characters. Like I connect more with the DC characters than I do with the Marvel characters. But obviously, Marvel has the better cinematic universe. But I like DC. I like DC. All right, but that's gonna do it for me. We're over 2 hours. I gotta get out of here, man. I gotta get out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in so much. I greatly appreciate it. It was a pleasure hanging out and chatting with you guys, and it's finally nice to feel better. It is finally, oh man, it feels good. Voice needs a little bit of work, but other than that, man, feels good. Feels good to be back. And core picture, we'll do it. Oh no, we can't do it on. I got you, bro. I got you. I'll get you a core picture before we go off. Google Images. Yeah, you want a moon? I got you. Ayan is going to the moon. There you go, man. All right. WWE core images. Google. Let's do this. Got you, Philip. I got you, bro. Let's see. Which one do I want to put up? We will put up this one. No. We'll do this one. All right, this one's for you. Image. Or I gotta find it. Oh my god, I have so much crap on my desktop. God damn. 4. Okay, there we go. I renamed it. Got it. Oh, this is a little guy. A little picture. This might look blurry as hell. There we go. There you go, Philip. Jared says, take care, mate. Have a good night. Yes, thank you. Thank you, James. Thank you, Ashton, as well. I'll be in touch, and we'll be here Monday for the Universe Mode. We're going to have a Universe Mode stream. It's going to be a good time. Will I be watching the new Venom movie? I haven't seen the first one, but I do want to see it. I'm going to watch Mortal Kombat tonight. I watched Godzilla vs. Kong last night. That movie was incredible. I loved that movie. That movie was so good that I was like, damn, I need to go watch Godzilla King of Monsters. And that movie was kick-ass too. I loved it. So tonight I'm gonna watch Mortal Kombat. I gotta watch Mortal Kombat tonight. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. Don't forget, we will be here on Monday. We're gonna have a good time on Monday. It's going to be a lot of fun and hopefully something different as well. So I hope you guys enjoy it. You have to let me know. You have to let me know, because we could certainly do more of those going forward. I mean, I do want to do more of those going forward as well, even on nights that aren't for wrestling and stuff like that. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. But thank you guys for tuning in, hanging out with me for 2 hours. I greatly appreciate it. And I will see you all on Monday. Have a good rest of your night. Peace.